It's a
Go to the cause.
Just one?
I'm sorry.
Just one. The Chittick School Spring Concert was in May 26th. I had the wonderful opportunity to see the Chittick Band, 4th and 5th grade strings, and the Chittick Chorus. There were a lot of people that really put the whole event together. I want to thank Ms. Donatelli, Ms. Kaufman, Mr. Bressler, Mr. Decker, Ms. Spell, and Mr. Lesser for their dedication and their patience with our children. I also had the opportunity to follow up on a Saturday, and I especially want to thank Jennifer Senquin and Ms. Kaufman for donating their time on a Saturday to the Central Jersey Music Education Honors Association Honors Chorus. It was held at JFK School in Edison, and they made a lot of parents happy, and I was one of them. Thank you.
Thank you. We skipped our student.
Well, really?
Better
I
watch
can't
our
believe I did
step.
that.
I apologize.
It's totally okay.
The award-winning student this evening.
I know.
Sorry.
There's been a lot of stuff going on at the high school the past 2 weeks. It's packed. It's very packed. Last Friday, I had the pleasure of attending the TEDx program at East Brunswick High School, where a bunch of students and teachers collaborated, and they ran an actual TED Talk simulation-type program. A bunch of students gave speeches, and they took time out of their personal lives and homework and school to write speeches and to prepare and publicly give them about the pursuit of happiness. So each student kind of gave their own rendition of what they believe is a segment or the definition of the pursuit of happiness. And some of the presentations included critical thinking, how to ask questions and explore the facts that we are given on a day-to-day basis, empowerment of people with mental illness and their places in society, and how they're like any other person and they're a very valuable part to society. And the steps to achieving happiness in a balanced life, of course, which was a very interesting TED Talk. And self-image. There was a girl who spoke about self-image and how everyone is obsessed with it, and perhaps if we change our vision of what's beautiful, then we can all be a little bit happier. I had a great time, and I think that the students really carried out the point of the TED Talk organization, which is to spread ideas and to enrich people and to spread thoughts and opinions, and everyone did that so well. I was very affected by it, and I thought about it for a long time, all of the wise words of my fellow students. Yesterday was senior send-off. It was so much fun. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to talk about it. There were so many things to do. First of all, there was a lovely barbecue, and it was so good. They had so many toppings for the burgers. It was fabulous. I enjoyed it so much. Of course, there was a photo booth, carnival games, blow-up carnival amusements, and lastly, there was also a hypnotist show. And I'm sorry, I cannot. It was kind of hazy for me, the hypnotist show, because I participated, so I can't fully report on that. But from pictures and videos, I discovered that later on after the show that I was convinced that my chair that I was sitting on while I was hypnotized was biting my bottom. It was very embarrassing, but it was very fun at the same time, and I think it was a great bonding experience for the senior class. And I would like to thank the parents and the PTA at the high school who put it on, because there was so much collaboration. I know they had to change it because of the rain day, and it was a great day, and I felt so close to my peers, and I thought it was a great way to close the year and feel like, wow, we did it. So thanks again to the parents who put on senior send-off. It was so much fun, totally worth it. And of course, prom is tomorrow. I can't wait to go to the Pines Manor with my peers and see everyone looking snazzy and take some good pictures. I'm really excited to close the year on a great note. And lastly, I want to say, I want to mention how many students tonight were recognized for so many great achievements. And I want to say thanks to the board for recognizing students and giving them awards. That's the greatest reward to hard work and perseverance and all the time and effort that they put into the Science Olympiad, their Waxman Club, chorus, Model UN, and I also appreciate the recognition, and thank you very much. Thanks, Mrs. Becker. I appreciate everything you guys do for the students, and it really builds them up when you give them rewards and awards like that and recognition. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I think a lot of times people make a little bit of fun of the board, that we're just always giving awards and we're always congratulating people. And I don't know, I don't think there's anybody tonight that got recognition that didn't well deserve and work very hard for what they accomplished. These goals are not easy goals to meet. They're impressive. They're not just for East Brunswick, they're impressive in general. And to not make recognition of their achievements would actually belittle the value. So for those that don't think that it's appropriate, I think they're just plain old wrong. And we have a lot of great talent here, and it should be recognized. And if we could spend the whole meeting doing that because there were that many people that deserved it, then that's exactly what we should be doing.
I agree. I just had to say that, the amount of work that this staff, this administration puts into guiding these students, and they put in tremendous amounts of time on their own to become great scholars and prepare themselves for that 21st century experience. And I continually tell my staff that we need to take time to celebrate our successes. We work very hard for what we do. And so tonight is just representative of that.
Absolutely. And you're very eloquent yourself, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Are there any other? Yes, Mrs. Lax.
So a little bit younger, but actually this is probably what we have to look forward to. Happy accident today. I walked into a wax museum. They created, the fifth graders at Memorial outside, they, along their walk, created a wax museum with historical figures. I was actually able to meet George Washington and his wife, Molly Pitcher, Benjamin Franklin. And it was very interesting because what they did was they took their research. Normally you do PowerPoints, you get up there and you talk about what you've learned. They had to stand like wax figures, and when somebody walked in front of them, then they would come to life and they would teach you all about.
That's great.
Appreciate this. You probably did some of this because you were so cutting edge. But it was really nice. So it was fifth graders. So I commend, I believe it was Ms. Taylor and the fifth grade teachers. I commend them for putting this together, and hope it's something that maybe we'll see in the other elementary schools as well.
Very cool.
It was pretty neat.
That's
So
cool.
I'm sure we'll be giving a lot of those students awards in a couple of years.
Mrs. Shaw.
I
didn't
also
see
would
you
like
were
to,
a little
I
short.
know, and you're so right about that. I also wanted to just give Holly Howard a little pat on the back for her 20 years of service on the board. It's an incredible amount of hard work and determination and commitment, and we all are able to learn from your experience, and it makes a huge difference that informs our decisions many, many times. I also wanted to mention that on Monday, I attended, along with Dr. Cohen, Mr. McAvoy and Mrs. Lax, the PTA President's Luncheon that was held at the board office. I'd like to thank Dr. Valesky and Beth Warren for putting that together. I know I actually saw some faces in the audience tonight as they were calling up the presidents, and there was, I think, only two of them here. But the luncheon was very well attended, and we got to see a little slideshow on all of the schools saying thank you to the PTAs. We got to sit among all of the different presidents, both incoming and outgoing, and listen to a little bit more of their perspective on the operation of the schools in our district. So it was fun, and it was beneficial for everyone, and a great idea. So
It was very nice. Actually, we had spoken a little bit about some of the directions that the school wants to go in the future, to share that with some of them. And after that was over, I got calls from about 2 or 3 of them who actually were interested in working with the board on our strategic plan. So it just goes to show you the commitment of those folks to this district, that not only putting in their time for just their own kids or just their own school, but the district in general. And that's probably a large reason why we do so well.
Yeah, when I pointed out at the luncheon, but for those of you who weren't there, one of the things that I also found fascinating was around that table, almost every one of those PTA presidents was an East Brunswick graduate or married to one. I think there were maybe 2 ladies there that didn't have a connection to East Brunswick prior to. So, shows you.
Very nice.
So it must be a requirement.
No, there are 2 ex-PTA presidents right here. You were not born in East Brunswick. You didn't marry anybody from East Brunswick.
You are wonderful exceptions that we are happy to have.
Had, thank you.
Happy to have had.
Mr. McAvoy?
Snazzy. I like that word. It's in my vocabulary. I pride myself on being snazzy. I like the fact that you're looking forward to the prom and you're going to be snazzy. I like the fact that my fellow board members, including all the central office people, come to these board meetings looking snazzy.
We want pictures.
I want to thank Dr. Vanilla.
Your hairdo,
The
makeup.
I think I have the floor, Mrs. Becker.
I'm sorry?
I think I have the floor.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I want to thank.
You're continuing?
I have a lot more to say. I'm like getting started.
I mean,
I don't care that it's 11 o'clock. I really don't. I really don't.
I'm not in a hurry to go home either, Mr.
This
McAvoy.
is far more important, right? So I want to thank Dr. Vanilla and the central office IT department and East Brunswick High School janitorial staff for setting this up this evening. I think this sort of last minute sort of movement of the board meeting to this venue doesn't happen overnight, and everything looks so great, so I want to make sure that there's a shout out for those people who were involved.
Actually, it did kind of happen overnight.
There you go.
Yeah. And Mr. John McMiniman was also instrumental in
There you
that
go.
from the central office, so.
On the 27th, after that Garden State Coalition meeting, I think it was that night, it was myself, Mrs. Chu, Mr. Juliana, and Dr. Valesky. We went to the Middlesex County School Board Association meeting, and the theme was social media. There was nothing that was put on the table that we didn't know already or that we weren't doing already. And I, too, want to congratulate Mrs. Howard, because it was at that meeting that they mentioned the 20 years of service, and it's 20 years of being elected by members of this community who have trust and faith in you. And I think congratulations are in order, as Dr. Valesky and Mrs. Shaw did already. And then the following day, on the 28th, I think is the date, we had our Google Apps boot camp right here in this particular arena, and that was orchestrated by Mrs. Gulick, who seems to be at every board meeting, so it's great that I can say face-to-face to you, Mrs. Gulick, thank you, because we had about 80 staff members here learning the materials that hopefully will be introduced into our school system by Dr. Robert Zawicki, who seems to be the leading guru on Google applications and the Google Classroom. And that's all I have to say. Thank you, Dr. Cohn.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? Okay, well, we do have a need for closed session, so I'd like to move that the Board of Education approve the following resolution. Whereas the Board of Education, yes. Whereas the Board of Education must discuss matters which are not appropriate for discussion in a public meeting, and whereas these subjects are within the exceptions of the Open Public Meetings Act and are permitted to be discussed in closed session pursuant to NJSA 10-412B, and whereas the Board of Education intends to discuss the following matters pursuant to NJSA 10-412B Section 8, any matter involving the employment, appointment, termination of employment, terms and conditions of employment, evaluation of the performance of, promotion, or discipline of any specific prospective public officer or employee or current public officer or employee employed or appointed by the public body unless all individual employees or appointees whose rights could be adversely affected request in writing that such matter or matters be discussed at a public meeting. The nature of the matter being discussed described as specifically as possible without undermining the need for confidentiality as employee number 23609. Whereas the length of the closed session is estimated to be approximately 30 minutes, after which the public meeting of the board shall reconvene and proceed with business where formal action will be taken. Now therefore, we will reconvene and immediately adjourn. Now therefore be it resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education will recess into closed session for only aforesaid subject, and that be it further resolved that the East Brunswick Board of Education hereby declares that its discussion of the aforesaid subjects will be made public at a time when the public's interest in disclosure is greater than any privacy or governmental interest being protected from disclosure in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
So moved.
Mrs. Becker, Mrs. Howard, any discussion? Please say no. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions. Good evening, everybody, and thank you.